All right, welcome to the December 2012 Guitar Journal. For the holidays this month, we're going to do "Oh Christmas Tree," a easy jazz guitar chord melody arrangement. It's in a traditional melody, and I've taken a lot of inspiration for my chord arrangement from the Vincent Guaraldi version, the Charlie Brown Christmas cartoon that I grew up with. I really always enjoyed that, and this version kind of sounds somewhat like that. There's some changes, obviously, a couple chord moves that I do differently, but it gives you that same basic vibe. And I think the Guaraldi version was in F, and this is in E, so it's pretty close. This will be something fun for you to play over the holidays. Okay. This month I've also created a PDF file to go with this lesson that you can download for just a couple of bucks from my site and help support the Guitar Journal here. And that's got a notation and tablature transcription of the chord melody, my arrangement, and also about 10 pages of lessons going through step by step with a lot of information about how to create a chord melody arrangement from a melody and the backing chords. And I think that should be very interesting for those of you who are interested in creating your own chord melodies from songs that you want to create your own arrangements from. So I encourage you to go pick that up. And if you need some more background on this, I do call this an easy jazz arrangement. And for jazz, it is easy. In general, for guitar players, this is maybe more intermediate to difficult. But if you want to get up to speed on some of these chord voicings and fingerings and such, I'd recommend our Chord and Harmony Guide DVDs, which are available on the site. I think those would be very helpful to those of you who need to bone up on your these different chord voicings that create this flowing motion here. That'll really get you up to speed. Okay, so the lesson here, I'm going to show you the melody. I want to make sure you know that, and the chords that go behind this. I want to go over those roughly. Again, the specifics are in that PDF, but this will give you a good idea of where it's coming from and a bit about the whole arrangement here. And then I want to talk about the final turnaround, which uses something that's referred to sometimes as the backdoor turnaround or backdoor cadence, which is not the typical 5-1 kind of thing. And it's a nice alternative for jazz and blues turnarounds that a person who had ordered some of my lessons had asked me about that particular cadence, so I built this in here to take a look at. Okay, so first thing, if you're making a chord melody arrangement, you need to know the basic chords in the background and the melody. So let's start off with the melody. I'm just going to go through and play this very simply. In the key of E, it works out nicely. The first two notes are with open strings. The B string, okay, and then 3 times on the E string. And then you're going to start climbing up. F sharp, G sharp, and then okay, and that's it. That's the A section melody. And that's going to repeat because our overall form is A, A, B, A here. Okay, and the B section melody comes up and okay, and that's got a very jazz-typical melody kind of contour to it, I would say. It has that sort of rising and then falling and then rising again. Okay, very much in the lines of jazz standard like Autumn Leaves, okay? So that tells us that it's going to work really well in a jazz context, and we'll look at the chords and see how that's going. So the most basic harmonization for "Oh Christmas Tree," and you can find other videos on YouTube with some cats just showing you how that goes over just a 1-5-1, and da 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 da. Okay, just over 1-5-1, and even sometimes switching back as the notes ascend in the melody. Da 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 pardon my singing. All right. That's not going to be enough for us here. We're going to need a little bit more harmony, some more chord changes in here to make this chord melody thing work out. So what we look at is trying to work in, since we've got the 5-1 here anyway, let's try to work in a 2-5-1. And once you start with a 2-5-1, if the melody notes permit, it's not a bad idea to put in the 5 of the 2 as well. All right, and in E, the 1 is E. The 5 of the 2 chord would be the 6 as a dominant 7, the 6th chord as a dominant 7. That's a C sharp dominant 7, and then we go down to the F. All right, and we'll do it as, jazz will have it with minor 7 chords, F sharp minor 7. And then to the 5, the B7, and to the 1. Okay, so this cycle of chords will work much nicer for this, and it happens to work out quite well. As we climb up on the melody and get to that G sharp, that tone will work out well, all right, with a C sharp a dominant 7th chord. In this case, it'll be a C sharp dominant 7 with a flat 9 in it, and that's a pretty tense sounding chord. But that adds a lot of color to this resolution. Okay, so when we're coming from here, this on its own sounds kind of rough, but when we're moving to that F sharp minor 7, okay, then it works out really nicely. Okay, so that'll put our melody now, if you pardon my singing again for a moment, da 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 da, and then again da da da. Okay, and it goes from there. So you see that those chords will work out nicely with our melody. So that's all you need as a starting point then to begin working on your arrangement of the tune. And you want to take it step by step and find voicings that work. And again, the PDF file has all that stuff in there, and I won't go in here because I don't want to make this a half-an-hour video. And I'd also like you to support the lessons and pick up that PDF. So a little shameless self-promotion there. Okay, let me just play through the A sections now, and I'll stop when I get to the B section. I'll talk about that a little more. Play them slowly so you have this as a reference also if you pick up the PDF video, so that PDF lesson. So we're starting off, instead of a straight B7, we're starting off with a B7 flat 5 actually, adding that F in. Okay, that F is just a half step above the home chord, which has a little bit to do with the flat 5 substitution in jazz, which is also something pretty typical, you know. So we start off. Okay. This is a B7 now. Okay, that's the first A. Then we repeat. Okay, and the second one, I'm using, which actually that's just voiced down here, this D sharp 7 sharp 9. That's one you probably know. It's like that quote unquote Hendrix chord that you see all over the guitar lessons talking about. Okay, I'm just voicing it down here, fingering it down here, I should say. Okay, so that's on the second time through the A section, slightly different harmonization, going to a G sharp minor 7, which is a substitution, straight up substitution for the 1 chord. That 3 works like that. So let's go through that second A section really slow. Okay. I'm going to stop here and point out the use of the fully diminished 7th chords. This is a form you should be familiar with. Okay, these are the same voicings, just different strings here, okay? All right, and this is really, we come to this in this case, this fully diminished 7th chord, excuse me, as coming from the B7 and just raising the root. And what that does, it gives us the dominant 7 flat 9 chord, really, okay? And this is just a straight up substitution for the the 5 chord. So when we came around the second time, 5 chord, 5 chord, and it works perfectly with the melody. Okay. So I suggest that for getting your fingers into playing these kind of things, you work on jumping between these diminished 7th chord shapes. Okay, on different strings, moving them around. Get used to that finger switch. Okay, it's a good exercise. Okay, coming to the B section now. The same chord progression is going to apply, just that we're going up higher on the neck here. All right, and again, details in that PDF. Okay, and trying to move down very close voicings over the course of the B section. So I wanted to keep those really smoothly voice-led. There's your B section. It only happens once, and then we're back to the A section. Okay, and this time coming back in, I actually put the F down in the bass. Okay, and at the end, slightly different harmonization here. We wind up on an A minor chord. This is that last bit that I wanted to talk about, which is that known as the backdoor cadence or backdoor turnaround. Okay, and instead of at this point here, we would have normally been at that F sharp, waiting for the 5, 5, 5, 1. Okay, in this case here, we're moving up and we're taking an A minor. Now that's like the 4 chord, but now as a minor chord. All right, because from B to A would be 1 to 4. We don't have the 4 in this otherwise. Now the way the backdoor cadence works is that you move from the 1 chord, sometimes through the major 4 chord to the minor 4 chord. Moving back like that is a typical change. In this case, you're moving right to the minor 4, and then to a chord built on the flat 7, which is built on a D. Okay, and that gives us a D7. Okay, and you can hear that actually resolves quite nicely. Okay, now why is that? Here's a very interesting thing. If you just look at it in terms of finger shapes, okay, the 5 chord, all right, 5 chord B7 in the key of E, all right, has a lot of similarities with a D7, now, especially when you look at it in terms of substituting this fully diminished 7th chord, right? B, that B7, B7, flat 9, okay? Also this, just another inversion of that one, that's also B7, flat 9. Now look at that, drop that here, the 3rd, from, that would be the 3rd if it was a B, right? So you have your D sharp here, okay? You drop that down to a D, and you wind up with D7. Also, this fingering is either one of these. So you have a lot of those resolving tones in there. Now, there's a lot more specifics of that on the PDF, why that works, but here it's very easy to see in terms of these finger shapes. Okay, do that. Now jump up 3 frets, as those fully diminished 7th chords can do, and drop that root down again, the lowest note, drop it down, and you wind up with a D7. So you have very closely related 7th chords here. B7 is very closely related to D7. Okay, it also happens to be closely related to a G sharp 7. Okay, and also to the F7. The F7 is your flat 5 substitution, so we know that leads to E very well. Okay. All right, and the other one would be the G sharp, and that actually leads very nicely into the 6th chord. So that's also very closely related to that 1 chord. All right, so you can see how these things have a lot of sense to them. This theoretical stuff is very useful. Let's go into now the specifics of this final turnaround. Let's come. have here, coming from the A minor, all right, we had this note here in the melody, which I just harmonized briefly as like we were a half step below the D7. And then that would be our D7. And the melody would have to go like this. Okay, but I didn't like this voicing here because we have the doubled third, all right? So we went with this. Okay, that manages to get in the D. Okay, we got our 7th, we got our 9th, and we got the 3rd all in there. And then I couldn't resist moving down through a couple other passing chords to get to the home there, just because to me, you know, that D7 kind of D7 wants to move to that G major, you know, which the G major is also kind of E minor, right? It is E minor in the same notes and so many notes. So already dropping that E on there where we know we want to go to, right? We're coming from the D7, from the A minor. Okay, we came down this way. Okay, E minor in a way. Passing through here, this is a little touch of our 5 chord in a way, and then finally ending on that. Okay, so it isn't a true backdoor cadence there. I kind of, again, messed with it. The melody called for it a little bit, and just a little bit of a flourish at the end, something else to happen, I thought was also nice. You know, you can end this many different ways. You don't have to do this particular cadence to end it if you want to change the arrangement. Okay, you can still go. Do a real, you know, like 50s crooner ending, you know, to that thing there, using some of those open string scales that I've showed you in other lessons, you know, coming down E like this. Okay, that's also pretty, maybe just a little bit too schmaltzy, so I kind of liked this other ending. So anyway, there's some thoughts on the whole thing. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to play through it one more time, and I'm going to, again, slow it down, and I'll give you a reference marker here so you can jump to this easily if you're working on the arrangement, okay? So wishing you all happy holidays, and I'll see you here again in January for the first installment for 2013.